Hi all, welcome to the Marquee Matchups for the weekend of the 20th of October, guys. Plenty to cover this week, so be fully prepared for this in all honesty. So we can smash the likes, would be awesome. Sub to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Twitter at @GIsALegend. All the links are down below for playlists on the channel and social media links as always. There's about 18 games I have roughly seen for this week, guys, so I am covering every single aspect. I'm trying to make sure that you guys are covered. There is no excuses here. I want you guys prepared for all eventualities for this week. So let's jump into the marquee matchups. So we have two routes from the A-League this week in the form of Adelaide versus Melbourne Victory and Sydney versus Western Sydney Wanderers. A good smart way to prepare for this, guys, is look at the goals within the league of Castro, Fornaroli, Macaron and Ninkovic and also Sekujo. Then just kind of build a decent enough team like Gumal, the right centre back there at 74 rate. You can look at him and then just look at other silvers within the league. Be prepared, guys, that they may not necessarily go a silver goldish route like a 70 rated. They might want you to buy the bronzes as well. That's kind of the way they might do it. So it's like a 60 rated squad. Throwing out ultimate curveball. Be prepared in that route, guys. The bronzes are 150. The golds are about 300, 350 a pop. You'd be able to get them quite readily. You're probably looking at two all told from 2 or 3 from the league. They might brick slot it, so be prepared for that as well. And then also, as I said, 70 rated squad at the very most for one rating or a 60 rated squad for another. I can't see them going one extreme. Then Hamburg versus Bayern is one I really fancy this week. This for me is probably my 7 or even 8 out of 10 option, because this is a very big game in Germany if you follow German football. And in my opinion, if this route doesn't crop up, then it's going to be fun and games. In terms of players to kind of be smart to buy, Rafinha is probably going to be everyone's go-to player for Bayern Munich. For Hamburg, you can look at Han, Papadopoulos, Mafena, Douglas Santos, the left back, over Brzezinski. Depending on how you want to operate it, there's plenty of ways to look at it. You're going to need 2 or 3 players and probably 8 to 12k for cost. You're going to get maybe a 20-25k pack as a reward. They're going to make it maybe worthwhile actually doing this route, but 78 rates were at least. Then for Poland, there's 2 routes in here. There's Lech Gdansk versus Lech Poznan and Wisła Krakow versus Legia Warsaw. I'd imagine 70 rated squad is probably the maximum they'll probably go to. There is only, I think, 1 or 2 goals in the league now. There was quite a few. You had, like, even when the upgrades kicked in, but now due to certain players they've downgraded a few. But as I said, 70 rated squad. A smart way to build this route, guys, is look at all 4 teams featured and at least put them all in your particular route. So if you've got at least 1 Lech Gdansk, 1 Lech Poznan, 1 Krakow, 1 Legia Warsaw, as long as you've got at least 1 of each, as like with the A-League route, if you're covering your base and your back with all those options, you're fine. And in my opinion, I would say this is probably the low end of the route. I would say this is like a 4 or 5 out of 10, but I've got to feature it, guys, because this could easily be the cheap option. They never did Polish options last year. They might do it this week because of how many games there is, and they're trying to throw curveballs into the equation, so be prepared. Then Holland has 2 as well, guys. This is just kind of showing you how difficult they're making this week for fixtures. You've got Excelsior versus Sparta Rotterdam, which is a Rotterdam derby, or you've got one of the biggest games in Holland, which is Feyenoord versus Ajax. My feeling, Feyenoord versus Ajax is the option they will go for. Smart ways to go about this. Look at the goals within the league. It's going to be a 75, 76 rated squad. I can see them going quite high for it. So, like, going CM De Jong, players like him, Tornstra, you can look at him as well. Then you can look at Haps. There's tons of Jorgensen. There's tons to work with. My feeling is go and have a crux of Dutch players, maybe say 4 or 5, but also have a few nationalities thrown in. So I've got a German, I've got Colombian, and then I've also got, I'm sure it's Moroccan, at least 4 or 5 nations as well, guys. I would say 74, 75 rate squad they'll do. There's enough goals in the league to work with. And Feyenoord Ajax, 7 out of 10, the other options 5. Then over to France, where we've got a very big game in form of Marseille versus PSG. This for me is my 3rd option that I really do fancy. This is probably that 7, 8 out of 10 bracket. Probably the best way about doing this, look at Mitroglou or Germain for Marseille. You can even look at Sakai. I know they've done Marseille just recently, but this is one of the biggest games in France, and if they miss it, then obviously you're going to suspect they're going to look at another route as an alternative. PSG players, look at Trapp, Goncalo Guedes, Kurzawa, depending on who you've got as well. And Munir, there's plenty to work with from a PSG and a Marseille perspective. And then just kind of pepper it with gold and also different nationalities as well. Have a crux of French players as well. So over to Brann versus Rosenborg, guys. This is one of the biggest games in Norway, but I've still got to feature it though because of there's so many routes, and I know if I miss a route and this was the feature, you'd all have a go at me saying why did you not cover this. But this route, probably 68 to 70 rating out, I would say is realistic. This could be the kind of route where they even could go all exactly silver, for example. While I've got 4 bronzes in the team, I've tried to pepper it with enough silvers that are high rated, but also relatively cheap to kind of make this a realistic option. You're probably looking at 1 or 2 from Brann and Rosenborg, like at least 2 players all told from Brann and Rosenborg, maybe even a third. This could even be a brick slot route, so be prepared for that as well. Norway players have a healthy amount of them, but also have a healthy amount of nationalities. Chelsea versus Watford, this is probably my 6 out of 10 bracket for likelihood this week, guys. Smart way about it, look at Decour, Kabul, Gomez, even Carnices, depending on what they do for a rating. From there, you're probably looking at 2 or 3 players all told from the team. Chelsea players that are smart to invest in or to buy would be like Christensen. You've also got Moses. There's not really much else low rate wise. That's the biggest problem. You've got to kind of be smart, and you can't really operate on the silvers or the bronzes. But as I said, 79 rated squad would probably be the very highest I'd see them go for this kind of route. I could see them going 80 as an extreme. But as I said, 6 out of 10. This would be a 10-12k cost, and it wouldn't be too bad to do. Switzerland, big game over in Switzerland is the Zurich derby between Zurich and Grasshoppers. I've basically tried to build this as high rated as possible. I have a sinking feeling that they could go quite high rated because there is enough gold within the league now that you could kind of do this with. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to go quite an ample amount of Basel players that are quite high rated. Then there's young boys that have quite a few decent rated players. Zurich have a couple, and same for Grasshoppers. Anderson is probably your smart option from Zurich if they wanted to do a ratings and do that right centre back as another smart option. You can buy the Basel players relatively cheap, like the 300-400 bracket. I don't even think there's a rate. El Yunus is your only rate, and he's a left mid. Then over to Greece, guys, we've got Olympiacos versus PAOK, Salonika. This for me, I can't really see them doing because there's not really much to work with from the Greek league. But if they did as they did last year, they did an impetus on Greek players. So if this was to happen, then you'd probably want to have, this wouldn't focus then on just the one league. It will focus on 3 or 4 Greek players, and then maybe nationalities, and at least covering 2 or 3 players from the respective teams, which is Olympiacos and PAOK Salonika. Your goalkeeper, smart option for goals, and then same Olympiacos, you're kind of looking at right back, and Engels. 5, 6 out of 10 for likelihood, guys. Over to Russia, another big game. This is a 6 out of 10 bracket. This could be an R1 that they could opt for. But they seem to avoid the Russian games. I don't know what they're up to just now. But for me personally, this will probably be about a 77 rated squad. I can't see them going too much higher. Because I know some folk have quite a heavy abundance of the high rated silvers in the league already, which I've noticed. And also if the league was to drop for an SBC, then this would seem quite logical to just suddenly throw in. But I think they'll hold on this one for now. In my personal opinion, I would say you're looking 77 rated squad, 2 or 3 players from both teams, 8 to 10k for cost with a 15, 25, 20k pack for a reward. Over to Turkey, guys, you have Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce. This is my strong fancy as well for maybe my final route. But in my opinion, I would say look anywhere between where Galatasaray and Fenerbahce players. You've got Derdiok, you've got Janssen, you've got Van Persie, you've got so much to work with in this league. And there's so many goals, so expect even potentially an exactly gold requirement. Now I would say 78 out of 10 for likelihood. You've also got other players that play in the lesser teams like Kucher, Titi, and then you've got Kivrak, you've got Emre, Musoro, Chachachui, the left mid. So I'm thinking as long as I cover to 3 players within this, I should be sorted, guys, for doing. And the final route of the week is the Austria versus Rapid Vienna derby. So Vienna derby, when this happened last year, this derby, this was featured, so potentially could happen again. I would say 70 rated squad is the very highest it will probably be expected. Your smart options are just looking at like Almer, and then kind of looking at higher rated players within the league, that between Austria Vienna, Rapid Vienna and Red Bull Salzburg. And then obviously like Altac have a few players that you can look at as well. And then you just be able to get yourself that 70 rated squad, cover a few Austrians, cover a few nationalities, and then just cover quite a few teams as well, because there's only 10 teams in the league, and in all honesty, as long as you at least cover your back for multiple of options, even the rare players as well, you'd be well and truly covered, guys. But as I said, this is absolutely everything this week. As I said, the 4 I fancy are the Hamburg versus Bayern, Marseille versus PSG, Feyenoord versus Ajax, and Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce. If I was to go for any 2 other options, guys, I would go CSK versus Zenit, and I'd probably look at the Sydney versus Western Sydney Wanderers game. Hopefully you find this useful. As I said, guys, smash the likes as always, sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter at GZLegend, let me know in the comments down below what you fancy, and I'll catch you all later.